40, I know.
You said 15 minutes.
No. Cool.
Wow. Well done. I'm a little proud.
Yeah, please just close the door. The recording started.
Okay.
So welcome to session about conference management. That is going to last 50 minutes, 49 minutes, sorry. Again, expectations is the same. Take all the notes that you have. And of course, listen to more than what I said than what is on the slides. And you notice that if you have questions. So during this session, what we're going to do is to have a quick overview on what are the national conferences that we have, the average people that we have, and their purpose, etc., etc. The different roles of the MC during conferences, because being MCVP and being MC member, we say that we have different roles, and we'll be focusing on two of them, which are agenda manager and conference manager. So agenda manager will be explained by David, and conference manager will be explained by myself. So I think there is no transition on this slide, of course. So we have 5 national conferences. So here you have what is the name of the national conference, what is the target, what is the purpose, when is it happening, and what is the average people that we have on the last 3 years. So the first conference is called NTC, National Training Conference, happening in September, beginning of September. So it's basically a conference that is happening after people came back from summer and officially did their planning, but you know that they didn't do the planning. So what we did and what to do during this conference is to review the planning of the LCs for the term, but with huge focus on the first semester, the planning of the first semester. An average delegate is actually a bit more than 40 people. At last NTC, we had 35 people, 35 delegates. Spark then, the biggest national conference of AIESEC in France, happens in end of October, beginning of November. It happens during the week, the holidays. We have 2 weeks holidays in France on this period, and it happens in one of these weekends, from Thursday to Sunday. So it's for all the members. So basically for the members, it's a lot for induction. And for the EBs, it's mostly actually winter peak review, because a winter peak, mid-winter peak review, because we're already 2 months in the winter peak, and we're trying to see what are the things that we can make happen until it happens. An average delegate is a bit more than 200 delegates. LEAD. So LEAD is the conference that has changed this term as well. That was for the EB, is meant to be for all the EB currents, but that's changed because I don't know, it was registration, so the weekends. So we put it was only for the LCPs this term, but it's meant to be for the EB currents as well. For instance, last time we had the EB currents that we're having functional summits on the Sunday. So Saturday was MCP elections. And on the Sunday was functional summits happening, and it's happening mid-January. Delegates is not much delegates that you have. You have 23 delegates coming here, so that's a really small conference. So that is the reason why we don't especially rent a venue. We did it in the office, so you can rent a place in Paris and then a place in Paris, but we don't need especially to have a full conference happening here. Reload. So it's a bit the same concept as Spark, you go back with the same idea of induction for semester 2 for all the members. So from newbies, all members that started in the first semester. So that here at Reload, you have a split between the new members and the old members, or actually it depends on the commission that you are, but mostly you have a split between old members and new members and old members, or at least new members and team leaders happening during this conference, because you have more team leaders here, because it's the conference, it's the summer peak, so you have bigger teams as well, and you have bigger talent capacity. Happening in the second part of February, beginning of March, and actually even if it has been planned, and this is a disclaimer that I have here, Reload is always planned to be as big as Spark, and it's never as big as Spark. It's always smaller. And in terms of budget, Reload is a conference that always loses money, because it's the conference that is planned in the same budget as Spark, and then it's boom, boom, boom. So it's mostly something around 150 people that you have maximum at Reload, that we had at least historically maximum by Reload. And STEP, so the conference that just happened for both EB currents and both EBLX. That is for, according to the name, is for transition and planning. The thing is that this planning part was something that we moved this term from STEP. The purpose of the P of STEP to remove the planning and to focus on transition and more have like a dreaming process of AIESEC in France 2023. Focus on this part happening end of May and like not much related as well. It's the same activities, even if you have like EB, LX, and current is the same B as MTC, like 30 to 50 people. That it's not much bigger. Here you see that it's 5 national conferences, entities, like a lot of entities have less national conferences. So there's something else maybe you need to think. I don't know if you need to think about it. Actually, at the end of the day, for members, there's only 2 conferences happening. Like some entities have less, some entities have more. You need maybe try finding a balance. Rebrand the conferences as well. The conference maybe purpose, the names. For instance, STEP doesn't make sense to have like the name of STEP anymore because it's not planning. It's if you want to focus on transition and have another purpose for this conference. But maybe review as well like the focus of the different conferences and make sure that this is clear because Spark is it's not always clear and Spark and Reload in terms of like new members, old members, team leaders, VP, etc., etc. What is the purpose into this conference? Because my VPs here, they're not doing induction. Like they're not an induction for my VPs. It's like it's a boost for summer peak. And STEP, even STEP, like has been either a boost for summer peak or a closing conference for a closing experience conference, or like it's always like a bit tricky here. Go with the questions for this one.
Yes. Second, replanning of MC is
before leads. So replanning of MC happens between Spark and leads.
Okay, it could be that we can change the target on the conference too.
Yeah, I mean,
if we have conferences with 20 people, could be that we can change the target and open to more people.
Okay, so regarding lead, like something that when I joined AIESEC in 14-15, lead was open to team leaders. So like so it was a bit bigger. The conference was bigger. It was happening in France, and it was it was MC elections. It was mostly a weekend of MC elections actually, and then we had like on the Sunday we had some sessions, and it was LCPs, VPs, and team leaders that were being invited. So you had like a bigger conference.
Sorry, no, just because a reflection. I was thinking about pipeline and create pipeline. Maybe we.
That is the reason why we had this, yeah.
Yes. A target and open to team leaders to all members. Maybe here, not here for men, or I don't know, whatever, or before.
But okay, so that is the reason it was open. I do agree with this with team leaders here because lead was a conference where you had the MCP elections and the MCVP like vote of confidence. Okay. So the idea was the team leaders would probably apply for a VP, and so they would like have a first touch point kind of with the MC applicants.
Yes.
Also, one more thing. This really feels like a closing, and it's like end of May. It's most of the time it's like emotional environment, and you lose like kind of 1.5 months.
And the thing is that so STEP happening in end of May is the LCs have different timelines as the MC. The MC is ending on the 31st of July. The LCs are ending end of June. Some of them end of May even. So you have this constraint as well of aligning the message from the MC and from the LC. Cool.
Sorry.
No, it's space for that.
Just to understand, which conference? Just one line to recruitment. Plan.
Yeah.
Which conference are for new members?
Spark and Reload. Maybe I should have put more colors.
Because we are recruiting. This is
when you have members, it's like it's like second part of October. It's happening.
But it's open to all members.
It's open to all members.
EB can join too.
EB can join too, yeah.
There's no way of having like I don't know, just because this is most of the time for example for Strasbourg case in this situation, we finished recruitment way before, and we had induction. So Spark was kind of like I know this shit.
Yeah, you had in your case you had induction like 1 month before. I remember.
Because of the chair. Yeah.
But the idea here of these big conferences, we're trying to make them happen in the weekends of the time of when you choose the conference as well for the happening of the conference. Sorry, needs to be strategic. And in the case of Spark and Reload, it's the weekend of holidays of university, and university have like 1 week holiday. And in the first semester is a common weekend somehow. Second semester is completely fucked up. So that's the reason why like we decide to have we decide like this weekend of thinking that most of the people would be available from LCP to member.
Okay. Yeah.
Go.
No, it's not. It's
okay,
not,
you don't.
it's not a
Whoa,
question,
Laura
right?
doesn't have a question.
No. No, it's a follow. It's a thought.
Okay.
Regarding that, because yeah, it's a problem that there are some LTs, not only us, Strasbourg, that get to Spark with way more knowledge, but the problem is that because the recruitment is not aligned. That there, I remember, or like for Reload, there was I don't know who had induction the previous weekend.
Yeah, the thing
and
is
that's super frustrating because whatever education you're giving is not gonna fit. Not even half.
You cannot like have one, and you cannot have a million of different educations.
Or you hundreds of Sparks, or no one is gonna be completely.
What is the problem, sir?
No, is the timeline of Square because we're taking the case of Strasbourg and the fact that 1 month was in between the induction of Strasbourg and the conference. The thing is that this is something that happened like with a couple of LCs, and maybe while building a national education cycle, like putting the conference and education, like the thing is that we already tried to do it this term. So when we put Spark, we took into consideration the fact that LCs would have induction happening 1 month before, and some LCs would have induction happening 1 weekend before.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, you have LCs in the south, Bordeaux and Marseille, that have the induction happening, that have induction recruitment happening. It's not induction, it's that recruitment happening the week before. So then you need to have as well, try to have like onboarding processes that are faster for them to make sure that they all arrive with the same knowledge and they can follow all the same type of sessions. So yeah, there is a work to do about it, but time constraint forces it. Okay, we'll have like other questions after that.
I'm confused.
What?
I'm confused with
The recruitment timeline and like recruiting 1 month before.
What is the problem?
Because education level in Spark is not the same, so you have.
For all the LTs, so there are like LTs that are with a lot of
You
knowledge.
think that your newbies were having a good education when they arrived to Spark?
Yeah, like comparing to the other newbies, yes.
I think that the thing is like you don't need to like the conference cycle from my perspective needs to be taught. That was maybe a mistake that we had, but
Maybe
need to be taught in terms of the operational cycle, never in terms of the recruitment. And that changed a lot the perspective because, for example, let's say that AIESEC in France have a huge window, right? So the education in terms of in Spark in October should not be about basic AIESEC, should be about what we need as federation in that month. In that month, what we need is consideration, but we fix the agenda according to what the operation need. If the else is after Spark or before Spark, shape the process of onboarding. But the Spark is an implementation strategy is an implementation channel of an operative strategy. The conference cycle is a touchpoint to align a strategy. So for me, the conference cycle needs to be, because that was a mistake that a lot of entities have, and is to align the conference cycle to the recruitment cycle and to the member cycle of the entity itself. That is easy in entities that all the universities have the same time. In entities that don't have the same time, the idea, or not in all the entities, the idea will be to align the conference cycle to the operative timeline. So even though if you were recruited 1 week before, or 1 week after, or 3 months before, or 1 month after, this conference is focused in consideration. I don't give a fuck if you were recruited 1 week before, but it's because the global timeline needs to be adapted and we need to be ready to face the next one.
Yeah, and then you play with the national education cycle around.
Yeah. Okay. And then, like different roles of the MC during conferences, because you're not going like as a tourist, of course. And actually, one that I didn't put is as well the delegate role, because sometimes like you need as well to support as maybe being a delegate, push people to go into the room and sit next to the delegates to make sure that you support as well the FACI or co-MC member that is delivering the session, or like one of the FACI. So different roles. The two first one, I will not expand that much on it because like we have a big space on it. We have 30 minutes for them. But being OCP or an OC is something that happens mostly on smaller conferences. Like this term, it happened for us on NTC and STEP. So NTC, we had 2 OC members, and Blue Jane from LCP marketing of Sciences Po Paris. And what happened is, so the MC supported in terms of being OC and preparing food, waking up delegates, etc., during the conference, cleaning up after the parties. And that is a role that you're meant to be able, like, ready to take if you see that there is like short manpower, because this happens actually. We don't have this culture of like OC and OC experience. Like OC experience has not been like a huge thing, so we don't have OC pipeline basically in the entity. And being OC member currently is not, or even OCP is not an attractive position in AIESEC. So because of that, MC this like get into it as well, and to support with this responsibilities in addition to be FACI. As FACI, so FACI can be added up to, remember, so like all these positions can be added up to any of them, meaning that you can be only FACI, but you can be as well FACI, OCP, conference manager, and OC, and agenda manager, and your MCVP position. But there's something that you can. No. But in terms of FACI, so as well, like, no excuse, it's not because you're MCVP that as well, like, so being FACI is part of your MCVP responsibilities, because you're going to deliver session to your VPs, to your entity, and that is part of your work. That is, you cannot go to the conference and say, hey, I was like checking data analytics on the Facebook page, I don't know, or I was like doing the audit, so I didn't have time to prepare my sessions. The delegate will tell you, I paid 80 euros, I don't give a fuck. I paid this amount of money to come. That is part of my AIESEC experience that you're meant to provide me. And this is David that does that. I don't even know where the thing that. Sorry, my brain is like not working anymore. It's disconnecting slowly and slowly. You all have been. No, you haven't been FACI. Have you been FACI before in a national conference?
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of too.
Kind of.
Please define kind of.
That's the.
No. Oui, okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
No, I've been co-FACI, but it was
So, like,
in my first conference, and I've been FACI of a session because I was still consultant.
Okay. So have you been like already?
It was totally random.
Okay. So have you been like ever through the process of building a session, not like building as in team, your dreaming process of a session of a conference, and then building out your sessions and etc. Kind of? Okay. Agenda manager will support you more on that. Before that, when coming, I should have put more animations on this slide. When organizing like a conference, like there's important need to read, please read column by column. The first one is like budget approval by BOP, so Board of President, and then I put into brackets BOA and BOT because it's one of the questions for the next term. This has to be done before the 31st of July. As you know, the budget has to be, as you should know, the budget should be approved, has to be approved by the 31st of July because you cannot execute expenses before the Board of President agreed on it. And like reason why is compendium. It's written in that is the reason why you need to do it. It's written in the compendium, and it means as well that you will be able to plan a conference in profit because you need to plan a conference in at least break even or in profit, but not in like you're not going to lose money. Venue announcement, it has to be 2 months before the conference because compendium.
But
That never happens.
It happened actually for the Spark and Reload.
No, because we were.
No, not Reload, sorry. Spark and TC did? I'm not sure.
No.
The venue.
The venue.
It wasn't. No, because I was.
Okay.
It was like 2 weeks before.
Okay.
But
So
it's always 2.
Yeah, but actually it should be 2 months before the conference. Like trying to respect the compendium, please, because you're the MC, you're trying to role model, so you respect the compendium 2 months before the conference. The venue is being announced. Is actually a review or if you have an OC, because like next term is going to change as well the way of organizing conferences. If you have an LC that is running a conference, then it's on the LC to as well like announce the. But you need to make sure that this is being implemented as conference manager. And as well, like it allows people to organize themselves in terms of like trip to go to the venue, because then they will tell you, oh, it's too expensive, I cannot go. So yeah, because everything is far.
Yeah, right.
The chair, no announcing the chair, but to find the chair, because something that we kind of do like in the 2 weeks before the conference, or I don't know, that is like pretty random, and that we need to change. But to make sure that like I put 2 months before the conference, like that is as well like indicative, but it's mostly for the chair to be able to take part into the process of building the conference agenda and make sure that he will like be in touch with the FACI, etc., because if you have it like 3 weeks before, and as well flight tickets, like money, because if you have it like 3 weeks, when is available? If you contact someone and say, hey, I have a conference in 3 weeks, are you free? I have an entity to run, so I'm not available, so I will not do it. So please make sure that that is done before in advance. This is done by the agenda manager, not the conference manager. It's led by the agenda manager currently. OC selection is if you have OC on spot. Like the earliest is the better, but maximum 1 month before. Like after that is like getting late. But to have like the OC on spot and to make sure that they're like onboarded for the entire process and they know like what are going to be their different responsibilities during this conference. And invoices, it's before the conference that you send them. It did not happen this term, like from the MC. Like the thing is that so we had an LC last term, for instance, that decided to send the invoices after the conference. And then so what happened is that not all the LC paid because some of the members, for instance, didn't pay. And they were like complaining about the fact that but either way, you didn't like keep track on any of the people that were coming at the conference. So you cannot prove that my member was at the conference, so I'm not going to pay. And actually, this LC is ITC Paris because they're still like chasing the LCs 1 year and a half after, trying to get some money from the LCs, some money back in order to recover the expenses that they had on this conference. And from the MCs, like actually main and proper cash flow for the MC, because when you book a venue, you need to pay 50% of the price of the venue 1 month in advance. That is called like account. So that is the prepayment that you need to do, and then the second half on the spot. And apparently, as MC, you don't have the cash flow to just spend money like this. So you need as well to have like delegate fees coming in your bank account to make sure that you can have this space and you can be able, like, you don't have to cry, you don't have to suffer in order to pay your bills. Cool. Agenda manager. Excitement is happening.
Okay, so this one is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I will not record if I go outside.
Okay.
What is recording?
Yeah, it's recording this screen. So I'm going to. Which one? Voilà. Non, c'est ça?
Oui.
Yeah, Azul, I saw he shared something with himself. Okay, wait, because you're going to be confused. Ah non, c'est bon. But Daddy, is this what you want?
This is the
No.
That's the agenda. I just put it on.
October.
What?
This is the one. This is the first big induction one. Yeah.
No more working.
This is the one that we're going to take as an example. So I'm trying to see where is the.
Go to the folder. Go to the folder.
How many days?
4. Okay. 4 that at the end. turns into 2.5.
2.
In terms of attendance of people.
Yeah. Because it's how it's done is Thursday arrival, so the conference starts at 4 p.m.
The slides are blurred.
until.
Where is the?
That's right.
I was like, who's this?
Okay. This is outlines.
And
Okay.
until Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
But at the end, a
I
lot
remember,
of the
yeah.
dates normally are like Friday day evening and the Sunday very early. Really. How to get
Miro was afraid.
Good chair.
normally
Great
the
person.
room has like
Yeah.
transportation.
Okay.
But yeah, there is a solution to it.
Okay. So, what is the role of the agenda manager?
That
Building
and
the conference.
assess the knowledge that's made to be done and make it happen.
Time reach too.
So there is a lot, but the main role of an agenda manager, if you think about it, is to ensure that the operational strategy is being provided to them. That is the main role. Agenda management is confused with building the agenda, tracking the session outlines. No, the real role of an agenda, and of course, the agenda needs to be pretty, needs to be the people need to learn and have these trainings and make it attractive and blah. But the main role of an agenda manager is to make sure that according to the operational timeline, the information that is provided in that conference will be relevant for the next 2 months or for the next 2 or 3 months. That is the only role. The MOS of an agenda manager should be that. And is to make sure that the information that is going to be provided is going to be relevant in terms of operations. AKA, that is going to give us more exchanges. So the role is divided in 3 main focuses. So the first one is the responsible of creating the draft of the content. So basically how it works is you are assigned as agenda manager and you create a timeline with your conference manager. And you release the first part of the first agenda that basically is always shared. But it needs to reflect the operational strategy, right? After that, we send it to the MC, we give feedback, we create agenda V2, send it to the MC, feedback, agenda V3, until everyone is happy, or kind of happy. What I think that can be interesting to involve the LCPs. I think that it will be really important to make sure that the content that we are delivering is an attractive content for the membership. After you create this, you allocate who is the best person to provide the content. So this is something really important, and is, of course, in terms of functional knowledge, Laura will be with the LCPs, and Maria Manuel will be with the VP's finance. But there is information that needs to be provided to the federation itself, the big part of the federation, or synergies, or I don't know, specific parts of the federation that is not commissions, that need, I would say, specific profiles to be provided. So every session, every conference of AIESEC in the world should start with AIESEC Y. And is to create the relevance of the organization and to connect them back with the organization. And there is profiles for that kind of sessions. So one of the roles of the agenda manager is to identify who is the ideal profile to provide that session. And after that, they allocate. So the person allocates all the sessions that you will have. After that, you also have a feedback in terms of workload. It is not taken in consideration that much. For example, you have a meeting with the MC and they say delivering 80 sessions and you are delivering 2. And then you say, yeah, you're Buba. So thank you so much.
Something like this.
So
Is the main responsible to allocate the passing?
is the main responsible of allocate, because it's the person that understands which profile will fit to the kind of session that wants to be delivered. After that, starts a really beautiful process. That is the process of dry run. So he provides a template for the guide for the session outlines, and the FASIs create the session outlines. And after that, the only thing that the So like after that, the agenda manager have two roles. The first one, the less important, is to ensure that it's aligned, that it's beautiful, that it's not boring, that the people is having fun, that it have graphics, blah blah. Basically that is not dead by PowerPoint. So that is going to be interesting then. She's the agenda manager, so she's good. And the second, oh my god, that animation.
How did you do that?
And the second responsibility is to make sure that that's one.
The what?
What is this? What will be the second responsibility in terms of session outlines?
That the message is well delivered.
Exactly. That the message is what that the people is receiving the information that is relevant. You can, and it happens a lot. You can have the session, the most beautiful session. It happens a lot to me. That you have a session that the people after the session is super inspired and they say, "Yeah, I want to change the world," and blah blah blah. What is the focus for the next week? Change the world. So like the role of the agenda manager is to make sure that at the end of the session, the delegate receive information that is going to be relevant for the implementation of the operational strategy according to the operational timeline. So it's really like to think in terms of agenda, what is the information that they need to receive, and if they are after the session, they are receiving. If they are really taking, like if they are really receiving what they need to receive. For example, let's say that, yeah, kind of in NTC, we are going to kind of have a little peak of complete because it's all the people that is coming back from their experiences, and that is the part. Let's say that Laura, as agenda manager, defined that is the focus for the federation. I hope not, but she decided that that is the focus. And Yabra make an amazing session, but that is focused on realized. What the thing that she needs to do is to refocus the session to make sure that it is aligned to the timeline and is to align to the operational strategy. So after that, she makes sure that everyone have the time, the sessions. The idea will be to have all the time, all the.
Yeah.
The idea will be to have all the session outlines before the pre-meeting, and I think that.
And the PowerPoint.
Yeah, and also PowerPoint. We succeed on that. I think that twice.
Better, personally I did before, but yeah, better than this term. Better than last term, sorry.
But yeah, like for example, the thing is like it also depends a lot on the chair because for example for NTC we had everything ready, all the sessions ready. The chair arrived, she was amazing, but she made us change everything during the pre-plan. But you need to arrive like that. In a Spark, all the people had ready PPTs before pre-planning.
No.
No.
Spark, no.
For lead, for reload, yes. Kind of, but it was like little modifications. Yeah, so it's okay. After they review that, you make sure that the session outlines are done properly, and after that you review that the PPTs are done properly, or any kind of resource, not just PPTs, but any kind of resource that you will use to transmit your message. So flip charts or whatever need to be like you need to make sure that is giving the proper message. That is before the, and also is the person that builds and guides the pre-meeting. Okay. Gets the pre-meeting, blah, blah, create the agenda of pre-meeting and make sure that everyone is aligned. What is the role during the conference? Time bitching. Simple. And something important, not that time bitching doesn't mean that you cut the session. Time bitching is to make sure that the flow of the agenda is not being affected. It's not to cut the people, it's to make sure that the agenda is not being affected and that the flow is not being affected. If one session ends 5 minutes late, of course it's not the ideal, but you don't cut the information because the important thing about the agenda is not to fulfill the agenda, it's to make sure that the content is there. Yeah, and after that, you end the session, you organize some meetings inside to coordinate the phases, and that's all. You don't do much. After, like in the work after the conference, you don't do much. And you are the main point of communication with the chair.
Yeah, that's a question. Can I ask a question? Okay, pause it. Okay.
No. Write them down.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have like 30 minutes and I need to still like.
Okay.
Laura will be always general manager, right?
Not always.
This is not true. That is the reason why we are having this session, people.
Not me.
This is the reason why you're having this session, people, because not always.
I don't want to be.
I'd like to be.
You can be
conference manager. Conference manager, no.
Anyone?
I
Cool.
think that once I get it, I
Regarding
like it.
like being conference manager, like there's one goal like conference manager is to organize a sustainable conference. That is like the goal that you're supporting the logistics of the event. You're finally responsible for all the logistics of the event. Okay, it's not the only goal, but it's one of the main goals is sustainable conference. And there is the reason why we'll be focusing a lot on this part, because sustainability is something that is a big risk in this entity. And we need to ensure that before willing to organize like super fancy extravaganza conferences. And it's like relying on 4 pillars, this question of sustainability for a conference. Marie-Manuel, I hope you know them because this is from CFO. So first is all revenues should cover all the costs, meaning that we break even or we'll have profit. So when you plan for a conference, the budget, etc., because you're the one actually co-preparing the budget with the MCP Finance, if you're not the MCP Finance yourself, you're planning in profit. You're not planning to lose money. This is completely stupid. Make sure that the delegate fees should cover at least their cost for accommodation and food, because when people are paying for the delegate, so delegate fees are 80 euros, which is actually ridiculous. What?
37.
37?
And it's
For
highest.
4 days conference?
And how many
Before
delegates
was
do you have?
35, previous 30.
How many delegates do you have?
Let's make the conference.
Last one, 250 depends.
But how much do you pay for a venue?
Yeah.
Yeah, shit, right? In the middle of nowhere, and yes.
Yeah,
That's
it's,
Transportation. Transportations.
No, the indirect.
Oui, ça revient nous.
Yeah, but transportation is cheap.
Depends.
Ça
Because a
revient
lot of
nous.
conferences they used to doing at the north. In a really bad neighborhoods near Bergamo, it was so bad.
in an airport.
No,
Okay.
Bergamo, you know? Yes, it was. Drugs there. I don't know what. But it's okay.
Okay, so we do not want to endanger the personal safety of our membership.
Oh, yes,
No, but I understand.
because it's not so high.
But actually here, it's
It's really little.
is really little. Like I will print you the budget of Spark straight after, and it's like you get like cut easy really fast. And the thing is that it's not only for accommodation, but it should be available to cover like fixed costs for a conference team, for instance, because you might have you will have extra costs like materials. All these extra costs, like delegate fee should be able to cover them. So when you plan, actually, you should be planning a conference only with only the delegate fees, because, and you'll see it, revenue from sales. So when you're trying to monetize a conference, when you're trying to sell a spot in a conference for a partner, it should be like an extra. You should not depend on them, because we experienced this term with reloads. We had a partner that was meant to give us 3,000 euros, and that canceled his participation on the event 2 days before, so did not give the money. And we lost 2,800 euros because we're planning on this money to break even at the end of the day.
Who was it?
Makes sense. Like the guy was sick apparently, so this is what he
I
said.
remember something.
Yeah, during pre-meet. It happened we found out during pre-meeting, so that was interesting. So that is the reason why shouldn't be planning in terms of with revenues. And during the last 10 minutes, I'm going to present you mostly the Spark Conference Management tool for the budget, because it's cool. Let me. Quoi? Okay, so this is not centered at all. I don't know.
Oh, see these implemented.
Okay, so because for you to have an understanding as this conference management, It's like you filling up all this spreadsheet. So we're going to try like to go to some of them. So the timeline that David was explaining you, this one was not that exhaustive at all. You can have the one of actually reload as an example. The one of reload like was more exhaustive, like was more full. I'm going to try to show it to you here, but okay. What happened here as well is that we didn't have like a actual proper planning for promotion and branding for this conference, but you should have a promotion and branding plan. This is something that needs to be defined in the MC, because on this term we didn't know if it had to be on the MC digital marketing, or a conference manager, or like OC. So because of at NTC, it went bad. Like it was asked to the MCP digital marketing to take care of all the branding and promotion of the conference. It was moved on Sprite to the OC. The OC being like
Not brand aligned at all.
brand alignment was completely raped. We upscaled it to the MC, and then like with split responsibilities according to the conference. So I wanted to show you this. So the timeline. So yeah, here like you have timeline for all agenda, promotion, and logistics each time. So you should have a document like this that tells you like what are meant to be the different activities that should be happening for everyone. And with the invoices that I was telling you the month before, and the conference was here. So yeah, then the budget. I will present you the budget here. Actually, the executed one. Okay, so that is the executed one. We were not planning to have that much. I don't know what happened. I had an issue with the formula, but at the end of the day, like we had a profit of 40 euros in terms of it was like planned at I think 10 euros, and at the end of the day, it was like 40 euros. What happened is like here actually we paid extra money. Yeah, we paid extra money on Spark. We didn't know. What happened is on the day of during the conference, apparently more people than were like checked in had food, had dinner. I think it's actually people that had lunch or dinner twice instead of once. And it was in a school. So like the guy of the people from the school were counting like the lunches twice instead of once for like 30 people. So we had to pay extra on this venue. Then, so actually this thing of transportation costs, this is something that is part of the fees that the LCs are paying. So it was on NTC, we counted it on the conference budget, and then at Spark, we did not count it on the conference budget. The only thing that we counted it as a conference budget, 72 euros, because the chair missed his flight, and we had to take another flight on the morning of the first day of pre-meeting. On the first day of pre-meeting, so we had to pay extra, and then the difference, like we had a budget, I think 400 euros, and then the difference we put it under the conference budget.
Okay, wait, sorry. So
this should not be on the basically.
Should be covered
with the current with the current financial model is covered by the LCs. Is the third transportation fees. See, you remember in the financial model you have three. Okay. In the financial model, like three components are fully paid by the LCs: AI fees, transportation of the MC, so Navigo and TeleMax, and the third one is the transportation of the chairs. So this should not be here. Then FACI OC chair to the venue. So this is like basically Navigo for the FACIs, so that we're paying for the week and tickets. T-shirt for the conference team that we wanted to have. Wanted to have as well like goodies for the delegates, so bracelet, but that were too expensive, so we're cut off of the budget quickly. Logistics for the sessions. Yeah, it was too complicated to just put like everything here, but there's like receipts and everything on the drive, so you can see like how much did we pay for every single of this product. And then actually we spend like half of, actually in terms of expenses, I'm a rat, so like spending way less money than what I was expecting to spend. So that was good as well. And like we spend less money thanks to like a website that was called Maxi Bureau. That is a website that is for like company associations, etc., and that sells materials in like big for less amount of money. So that is what happened. Maxi Bureau, ce que tu voulais mettre. Then regarding like, so you have extra expensive coffee breaks. I didn't put them here because I know that I put them with the parties, because again the receipts. Something for the parties is my stand here on parties during conferences that the alcohol that we buy should be we should plan in break even, like at least the break even. I don't want to make profit out of alcohol, etc. But we should make profit. We should break even. One disclaimer here is regarding the legality of this point, because I'm not fully sure that we should be able to sell alcohol, as we don't have a license to sell alcohol. And you should be able to have a license to serve alcohol and to sell alcohol. And something as well is that if you organize it in a school, in a high school, like we had this issue of young people getting into the party room that were underage, obviously, and that were under alcohol, so that we had to send back to their rooms, to their dorms, to like avoid any concern. But this might happen if you're like in a shared space. So this is something that as well that needs to be taken care of, and you need to have a sober officer, of course.
What?
Sober officer, sober.
Okay.
Sorry, it's still alcohol related. Sober officer, someone that doesn't drink at all during the party, from the MC, and that is like making sure that everything is going well. And then as well, like we paid like a dinner for in the pre-meeting. That was an extra that we wanted to do. Like when we saw that we were good on budget, we thought that okay, we can pay for dinner for the festies the day before. You don't have to do this. It's really like they had the t-shirts already, but we still like paid it for them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like small signs that are nice, but if you don't have money, you don't do it.
You don't pay for t-shirts?
Spazi, no.
No, fácil.
No, the delegates should, yeah.
We pay for the...
No, for NTC, what happened is that we had like big t-shirts, like we had like large t-shirts that we had like in the office like since I don't know 2-3 years. So we just gave them to because we wanted to get rid of them, so we gave them to the members. So yeah, and they were happy. Like they were happy at NTC, so we're okay, whatever. I think there's like 5 left there in the. Non, toi tu vas pas en avoir un autre. Calme-toi. Yeah, the printing and all, like we printed it. We printed all the name tags, etc., outside of the office, because it was actually like more convenient, for quality, etc., and then shopping everything because it's more than 200 delegates, so you want to have something that is like high quality and being fast. Material, we invested in speakers during this conference. The big speaker that are behind, we invested in them for this conference, and so you don't have to spend money anymore next term on like all this mic cables and speakers because everything is here. You only need to carry them for the conferences. So go.
Someone should know how that works.
Martin will do a transition about this on how to use the speakers because he's the one that uses them. Yeah, I don't touch this thing. Yeah, no, it's not complicated
yeah,
to.
No, I don't. No, I don't say for me. I don't want to get. But
Okay, people.
No, it's
What happened as well is that we bought like a screen projector. I need to go fast, no? Yeah, I need to go fast. Screen projector here. So that's basically a big white screen that we use at STEP, and that we bought it in case of we have to deliver a session outside. Is that you can still hang it between 2 trees, and it's a white thing. It's a white sheet somehow, but a thick one. Yeah, cables, Kakimono for partners. So we didn't print them for the partners at the end of the day because we didn't want to have roll-ups. Kakimono is a roll-up, huh? So roll-up that we would use only once. So we printed one of the products instead, so that we could use it and put it like everywhere, around the whole place. Buba English is not complicated. And then fuel for car is that like either you rent a car. In this case, like we rented an Uber actually to go back from the venue to the office because it was like all material at the end of the conference. Everyone is exhausted, so we ordered an Uber to make sure that all the materials would go back with 2 MCVPs. But as well, like needs to be taken into consideration is that potential insurance. I'm going to put as well here SACEM. I'm going to do a quick introduction to SACEM. Do you know what SACEM is? Well done, MTP Finance and Legal. Is in a session in France that is kind of supporting and protecting copyrights of music. And there are laws that say that you should not be projecting music like for externals. Yeah, like so for instance, the speakers, the music that you're putting on speakers is either your music, your personal music as you're singing, but if you're putting like Spotify, you should be paying to these people to be allowed to project the music
in public.
In public.
Yeah, we have
Why?
Copyright.
It's like copyrights.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Maybe we have to, but Spotify.
If you pay
It's a
Spotify,
service.
Yeah. This is
Maybe
but
it's a way
Spotify,
of-
you're using it for your personal use.
Yeah, not for public. The problem
That
is
is
when
different.
you're kind of like selling to more than yourself.
Maybe to be legal.
So yeah, in this is something, and like it's roughly like 300 euros for the conference. I think that is what I checked. For
Maybe
after
it's
another
conference.
conference. Yeah, that is like per event.
and if you don't pay, how much do we pay? C'est quoi c'est quoi le, enfin,
Martine,
Yeah, the what's the point?
t'es au téléphone, pardon. La SACEM, c'est combien l'amende?
Alors, le BDE qui a fait.
Juste, c'est combien l'amende? On doit finir la session. 5,000 euros.
Let's pay the dude.
Le fine. So, juste de finir la session, donc merci.
But
Et tu vas bientôt commencer la tienne.
you're crazy.
Yeah. Martine, je leur ai déjà expliqué. Martine, je leur ai déjà expliqué. Je dois finir la session. Tu m'as déjà niqué une session, merci. Non mais Martine,
Okay, okay.
Go.
désolé mais.
Okay.
Promise.
It's okay. It's okay.
En fait, ok,
Soudan. Non?
putain.
Soudan.
Then regarding like revenues, so the revenues that you have is, I was telling you, is what you're planning the conference on is the delegate fees. What we tried to plan as well during Spark and Reload was to have like international delegates. So that is something that you can have. According to Companion, we can have like 80 euros for the local. It doesn't say anything for the international. So, and actually, like in terms of benchmark, other entities in Europe, apart from Italy, like conferences are like higher than in France. So you can easily propose like 100 euros. Like for instance, Netherlands always have like LCs. They would come by the full LC would come. While one LCs we're trying to make come here, and they would pay the 100 euro fee per delegate, and it's the LC that is paying, not the delegates, not the members. So that is an option also that you can have to push people to come, etc.
Okay, party delegates.
And then party delegates.
40?
What?
Party delegates. The fees.
That was
The one that are coming only for party. This depends on you. Like it's really depending on you. There is nothing again in the compendium. We didn't put like any price for this. You can ask like 10 euros like before getting into the party, etc., to attend. And yeah, and then the alcohol that you sell. And make sure that when you have the alcohol on spot, I'll have like a deeper space on the entire conference because we need to move. But make sure that when you have like when someone is for the money, that you have someone that is keeping account on the that is accountable for the money system and money tracking, because it's a lot of cash, it's a lot of coins. You're saying like if you're €1, but someone gives you like 5, and then you need to give some coins, and you have like a lot of coins. I was lucky; I had like my former LCVP finance when I was LCVP last term was part of the OC, and when I was last term, like 16, 17, I was OCP of Spark. So he was my OCVP finance. So he was already handling all the money during the conference in terms of the party. And he knew the process and the way I would work. So he was working with me on this conference as well, handling all this money. So that was really good. But you need to make sure that we submit, but giving all the money to the OC and making sure the OC like take care of the money is something that if it's the MC that is putting its own money, you might want to have an eye on it as well to make sure that this is not completely screwed. Okay, and then so you have all these documents like with other forms. It's in the output you have for both Spark and Reload. Reload like has as well like extra stuffs for session allocations as well that you need to think as well as a conference manager. Like for instance, like where are going to be happening all the sessions, etc., etc. The bedroom allocation and the OC applications, the OC recruitment, shopping list, everything that needs to be bought as well. So that you can do it like very fast, fancy materials, what do they need as well, so that you can go on the website of Maxi Bureau that I was telling you before, and you can buy all the material. The chief delegates, actually, they did not answer. Also, I decided to have the chief delegate by myself, like the VP Finance of the LCs that did not answer. So that's it for this session. If you have any more questions, like approach me. I'm sure that
conference 2.0 session.
Probably, like I think we'll have another space on conference management because there's a lot of responsibilities that you have as a conference manager. and Marie-Manuelle knows like the pain that she's getting in. Like in terms of as well, like venue finding, etc., how to find a venue, how to look for a venue.
Yeah, how are you going to plan how many flip charts are you gonna consider in the budget? Like it's not as simple as that.
This is like in terms of the budget is I was asking I would give to people the deadline to have like in the session outlines, to fill out in the session outlines, to make sure that everything would be, and I gave you like a template to the facets that I had. I gave them a template to fill the session outlines with the material that they would need. If this was not filled properly, I would give one flip chart, like for instance.
Yeah, but for example, according to one of the timelines that you did before, the budget has to be approved, settled before 31st.
Okay, this is not this budget that has to be approved. It's like it's overall budget. So like we put 25,000 and 20,000 for the venue, and then 5,000 for all the extra materials. This is what we put as a budget based on the last budgets. But these details you cannot. This will not be done before the 31st of July. Yeah. This will done.
Okay, that's what I don't see how can we calculate if.
In the end, I think that.
So we put a general budget for.
If it's our first conference, maybe if remain something, it's good because we can use again at the end, no? So
it's a roughly budget that you.
It's there is like always roughly budget, and just you have access to all of these documents normally. For next term, actually, we created all of them this term. So for the next term, you can just duplicate and then you fill up everything.
This is the best gift ever. Like,
I have a question.
Can you send it to me?
It's on share, no? It's on MC Ryan, no?
Yeah, everything is.
She's the main struggle with the conference, especially with delegates and the venue.
It's finding the venue that is cheap.
No, I mean, which is the main reason that delegates do not attend the conference?
Distance, money.
The thing is that, so yeah.
It
will be the last question, because then Martin will come in for the session. But we're trying to have the session happening around in Paris, because we know that we have this tourist circulation in France that makes everything goes to Paris. But the thing is that, and you have also the partners that you want to invite, so it's easier for them to go to Paris, in the Paris area. You have 80 euros of conference fee per delegate. Paris area, Île-de-France, is the most expensive region of France. You're trying to find a cheap place in the most expensive region of France. You already have a first issue. So once you find the venue, finally, if you find it, like in the case of Martin, first step, he found the venue here. And then no one wanted to go there, so we had a venue here. Found it at the end of the day, but then it was late for people to take their tickets to come here. So that has been an issue, that has been one of the backlashes. And that is the reason why they're having issues to come. And they're going to tell you, oh, now it's getting too expensive for me to get my ticket, but I could try to organize the conference here. Ideally for the LCs would be to organize conferences, spark here, spark here, spark here, spark here, spark here, spark here, spark here. Like in not in Monaco, we don't have LC, but like spark in each, like ideally for the LCs, for them would be the MC move like one weekend in like one city, one weekend in one city, one weekend in one city, but that is completely insane. You cannot just. And that is the reason why, like, wanted maybe to put this term we had as an idea, one of the original conferences, as to push as well like engagement and like if you manage to engage LCs as well in regional conferences, you have high chances to have them as well coming to national.
But there is also a problem is that all the roads go to Paris. So it's like, for example, from this map you can think, oh, it can be really interesting to have Bordeaux and Nantes, but they need to go to Paris or like, Lyon and Bordeaux. No, they go
through Paris.
Like in the same way, like in Italy, you have like the conference in the north and conference in the south, and that would be.
Yes, because I think it comes as Nice. Are they present in the conference?
Nice? No.
That's the point.
Lyon is a good point for a conference.
Yes, maybe in the middle.
Clermont-Ferrand.
I don't know. Guys, I don't know.
But as well, no, it's as well something that we just organize a conference in Paris, that since we're conference managers and OC, you need to visit venue, you need to as well like work on logistics, and it's easier for you to visit venues around Paris than to go and to
spend 1 day and a half.
to spend 2 days, and because like 1 day and a half as your MCP, you have a job as well. You're not paid for being a conference manager, but for being like actually MCP, whatever. And then like going there, spending 2 days, and then coming back is as well like a lot of time consumption. Okay, yeah, we will got it. Thank you, people.